Alright, it's Henry again, and since the Dengeki Hobby Gundam Kestrel is such a simple model kit, I figured I might as well do a build video for it. So this shouldn't take very long at all. There's the box. Not going to be seeing that again. Anyway, we can open this up. Didn't do a very good job of cutting the bag open. Anyway, there we go. So that is the entire kit right there. Now, the instructions for this kit are in the magazine itself. Let's see. There they are. Pull that down. And there we go. And you know what? I'm not even going to bother putting the instructions in the shot. I'm just going to focus on the actual kit itself. Move the camera over here. And to be perfectly honest, this kit is so simple I might not even really need the instructions all that much. So anyway, let's start at the feet. Actually, the instructions start us off at the feet anyway. Now this is my first time building one of these Dengeki Hobby kits, so I'll be a little bit new to this. Although it looks pretty much like a first grade kit. Although, at least first grades have some articulation. I don't think that this guy's going to have much articulation at all. At least when you just snap them together anyway. But for my plans for this kit, I'm going to be modifying it and adding joints to it. Luckily, the Dengeki Hobby magazine actually has a sort of tutorial inside it for adding joints to the kit, which I honestly didn't expect when I first ordered this, so I was happy about that. I may not use the exact same methods they use to add joints to it, but I have a feeling that it'll definitely serve as an important guide. But even though this is such a simple kit, it's got really nice detail on it. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. There we go. Nice detail on the bottom of the feet there. Even though you've got that ugly seam line running down the middle of the foot, that'll have to be removed, but other than that, the detail down there is pretty nice. So, feet are done. Now onto the legs, which are just as simple as the feet. I'll just do one leg at a time. Originally, I was thinking about getting a high grade that had sort of a similar body build to the Kestrel and kind of sacrificing it to use the joints to articulate Kestrel. I was kind of thinking about using a high grade O Gundam, and I may still do that, but it depends on how well the Dengeki Hobby tutorial goes on adding joints to the kit. More than likely, I'll probably end up doing a combination of both. But either way, hopefully, in the end, I'll end up with a kit that's more or less high-grade quality. Alright, as you can see, the legs are incredibly simplistic. One thing I do want to point out here is the space that they've made for polycaps. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Alright, so you can see where this funny looking ankle joint goes in right there. This little cavity is actually meant for a polycap. They show it in the tutorial in the magazine, where you can put like a socket polycap there, and then cut this off and put a little ball right there, and then you have the ball and socket ankle joint like you see on pretty much every high grade. And even here, they've included these extra holes, which aren't used for construction on this kit, but those are holes where they've made room for polycaps. And even here up in the hip joint, they've made room for a polycap there. So I just really, really like the way this kit was designed. How it could be either snapped together and just made a fixed pose kit like this, or made posable if you're willing to put in the work. Okay, so next up I think is going to be the torso. Actually, no, I need that hip joint thingy. There it is. Alright, so this is the hip joint right here. Let's see, it's going to go like this, and this just sort of slides in there, and you've got no hip movement whatsoever. So aside from the ankles being able to move just a little bit, I think this is going to be a more or less fixed pose kit if you just snap it together straight out of the box. And likewise the skirt armor and torso don't have any movement to them at all either. Take that. So, if anything else, this should be a fun little project. It's one of the things I've always loved about Dengeki Hobby Magazine, is I love opening it up and, well, actually in most cases looking at scans of it on the computer rather than actually opening up the magazine, but just seeing the modelers in the magazine take kits and improving them. Not necessarily making something completely different, like a kit bash or a full modification or anything, but just taking an existing kit and just making it better. And that's one of the things that that really, really attracts me to modeling, is seeing things like that being done. Anyway, so there's your torso, just 3 parts for the whole thing. Now, move this guy over here. Guess we'll do the arms. And adding joints to a simplistic kit is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I've done in a limited way with things like my Gundam X and my Tallgeese project, but in those cases I wasn't adding new joints to the entire kit. I was just, like for example on my Tallgeeses, I added new shoulder, well, rotation below the shoulder and new elbow joints. And like my Gundam X, I added new elbow joints as well. But turning a fixed pose kit into a fully posable kit is something I haven't attempted yet. Something I've really, really wanted to try out on the original 3 first grade model kits. The Gundam, the Green Zaku, and Char Zaku, because I absolutely love the sculpt of those 3 kits, since they're based on the perfect grade designs. And I just think if you were to just put a lot of TLC into those kits, you could have a really fantastic looking model kit. Let's see, I guess we'll cut out these shoulders next. It's always a little bit more awkward trying to cut the parts off the tree when you're trying to work around a small camera tripod. But that's just part of recording a build video, or a review, or anything of that nature. Luckily, this build video won't last for an hour and a half like my A&A Gundam build video did. Let's see, looks like, well, no. I was about to say the shoulder armor might have some articulation, but it doesn't, because it's got this little thingy down here. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So the arms are also pretty much fixed posed. And normally, I really don't have a problem with fixed pose kits, because I have several fixed pose resin kits. And even when I do finish a fully posable kit, as most Bandai kits are, I usually just put them on my display shelf in a standing position, and that's usually where I stay. Or they stay, rather. And let me take a look at this before I put it on there. Okay. So I really don't have a problem with fixed posed, but the main reason I'm going to be putting joints into this kit is just for the challenge of it. And it just seems like it would be really fun. At least fun to me, anyway. That off. There. Let's see, how do these go in? Looks like they go in like this. I think I put the backpack on too soon. There we go. Kind of funny looking beam sabers, extraordinarily small beam sabers on this kit. Almost kind of bothers me. It's going to be hard finding blades for that thing. Anyway, there we go. And all that's left is the head and the weapons. I gotta say though, I'm glad this kit is so nicely detailed. Because in my opinion, I would sacrifice good detail for posability any day of the week. Of course, to be honest, the proportions on this kit look a little bit funny to me. The head looks kind of weird. But, you know, for a quote-unquote free pack-in kit with a magazine, I guess it's not too much to complain about. Get that in there. And there. And the V-fin. It's kind of funny, the head has more parts than the leg does. Ah, crap. I was supposed to put the head on the neck before putting it together. If I can get that apart. Where's my hobby knife? People always ask me how I separate parts after putting them together. They're always so afraid of breaking the parts. Well, as long as you're careful, it's really not too difficult. I mean, you saw me just prime a part pretty easily with a hobby knife. That's really all there is to it. And there we go. I get the shield and this beam rifle out and we'll be done. Unfortunately, the shield and the beam rifle are the only two disappointments I have with this kit, because they are hollow on the back sides. Let's see, cut that, and there we go. And we're done. As you can see, the shield looks, it's not as bad on the shield, because one, the shield is smaller, and two, it's, despite having some hollow parts, it is kind of nicely detailed. Plus, you're not going to be seeing it too much because it's going to be stuck on the arm like so. So you're not going to see the hollow parts too much. The beam rifle, on the other hand, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's something you would see on an SD kit. So, honestly, I'm probably going to have a tougher time filling in all these holes and then scribing in this detail on this side than I will adding joints to the kit. I really, honestly, I wish they had just molded the whole thing in one solid piece of plastic. Not even bother with doing two halves of and putting them together, but just molding the whole thing as one solid piece. But I guess you gotta save money on plastic somewhere. So I guess that comes back to that whole willing to put in the effort thing to make your kits look good. So anyway, that does it for the build video for the 1:144 scale Gundam Kestrel. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.